want to discuss permitting reform for a minute. You and I both want permitting reform, as do colleagues on the Democratic and Republican side. All sorts of interest groups are in pitching me on permitting reform. There is a lot to fix, and I am happy to and will continue to engage in these conversations, not just with you, but also with our colleagues on the Energy Committee. But remember what I warn constantly about: trust. Why would we want to do bipartisan permitting reform during an administration that won't faithfully execute that law, that can't be trusted? Trust matters, and the Trump administration is busily destroying any hope of that trust with unrelenting and often illegal assaults on clean energy. Off my state, they dropped an illegal stop work order on a project nearing completion with $4 billion invested and every permit in place. Listen to this. When whoever it was at Moscow Central demanded the illegal stop work order, government lawyers had to go into court and reverse arguments they had been making in that same courthouse about that same project just weeks earlier. The exact opposite arguments. Of course they got crushed. But from a trust perspective, where is the good faith there? It's gangster gong show quality stuff. 2 weeks ago, Interior canceled environmental review on America's largest solar energy project. The energy executive order contends that solar and wind energy aren't even energy. Even the dictionary is violated. This is kind of bureaucratic Al Capone quality stuff. So it's very hard to find a glimmer of good faith. The administration's kill list of clean energy projects starts with projects in blue states, but just wait. The full list targets red states as well. They've already pulled the permits for projects in red states like Lava Wind in Idaho. On Monday, Secretary Burgum declared that he had no interest in including offshore wind in a permitting reform proposal. Well, guess what? Unless the illegal acts stop, and unless offshore wind is included, good luck with the trust required for a permitting deal. And where are my Senate Republican colleagues? It used to be your stated principle that government shouldn't be weaponized, that government shouldn't pick winners and losers, that regulators should be honest and not take private property, and that lawful permits should be honored. Now everyone is mute while government is weaponized, picks winners and losers, illegally damages private interests who have lawful permits, all because what? The picked winner is the fossil fuel industry? Just think about that a moment. When the winds change and your favorite industry isn't the picked winner anymore, do you really want the lawless America, the pay-to-play America of this administration? The Republican Party has long claimed to be the party of free market capitalism, yet you seem fine with this level of government interference in free enterprise. Stop work Trump's interference in all these projects isn't just putting thousands of hardworking Americans out of a job, it's raising the cost of capital for all projects, even fossil fuel projects. Folks, this is what the Founding Fathers meant when they talked about corruption. When the government comes in and shuts down a lawful project to please its political donors, we're no longer in the United States of America, we're in Venezuela. So colleagues, I will keep working in good faith on the substance of permitting reform. I promise you that. But that gate I've said we will need to get through, that trust check, is looking increasingly implausible. Without a drastic change in behavior, I'm not seeing a pathway to that trust. Without perhaps even some change in personnel, I'm not seeing a pathway to that trust. If that's fine with all of you, well, keep it up. But don't blame me when permitting reform crashes and burns, because all trust, all rule of law has crashed and burned. And by the way, if that's lost, that's going to affect highway bills, WRDA bills, all sorts of other legislation that requires trust in the faithful execution of the laws.